Hello, and welcome to my KQ guide. So my Cerberus guide did really well, so I thought I'd make one for KQ. The meta for killing KQ has changed quite a lot recently. It's completely different to what it was a year ago. A year ago, the best gear I think was having a Hasta, and basically what I've got on right now, actually no, it was a Fury, because the Torch wasn't even out, the Anguish wasn't out, the Bludgeon wasn't out, the Dragon Warhammer wasn't out, the Ring of Suffering wasn't out, Blessings weren't out. So basically, this was the old gear. This was the old max gear, and you would take a BGS for spec. There was no Dragon Warhammer, none of that. And now the new gear, plus the construction, pool, all these different things, the ring in the house, it's completely changed how you do KQ. So I'm going to walk you guys through all this stuff, and hopefully you'll understand how to do KQ a little better than it used to be. So basically, the best gear that I can take, or that I do take, is the Dragon Warhammer Defender combo, and then basically everything I've got on right here. Now, some people argue that taking, max melee and max range is the best way to go about it. I would prefer myself to have 2 extra food. I don't notice a huge difference because KQ does ignore your mage and range defense bonuses, and I guess Bandos may help a little bit on the first form, but second form, hides are pretty much almost the same thing when it comes to accuracy. Usually, especially considering the Dragon Warhammer specs. And so I just take the hides, but you can take that if you want. If you're off task, you could obviously take Void instead. And if you don't have a Ring of Suffering, you could take a B-Ring and then or an Archer's. I would suggest B-Ring first. Obviously downgrade as to what you can afford. Fury if you don't have the other 2 necklaces, Hasta if you don't have a Bludgeon, BGS if you don't have a Dragon Warhammer, etc. Downgrade from there. Also, you're going to want to have Vengeance. If you don't have Vengeance, it really does help a lot with the kills. I'd recommend getting Vengeance because it adds a ton of damage to it. Really stacks it up there. And basically, the Ring of Suffering recently had an update where you can add recoil charges into it, and the recoil charges add about 30 damage per kill. You do 30 recoil damage just from taking hits from KQ per kill on average, and that adds up to be, according to Merrick, who's one of the, the guys who does all the PVM calcs, it's about 3 or 4 times better than a B-Ring. In terms of DPS. So I would really suggest getting one of those. It's going to help you out a lot. And then also I would recommend getting 82 construction or 90 so you can make the ornate rejuvenation pool. And basically what you do every kill is you kill it, you come back to your house with the house tab, you heal, you go back with the fairy ring, and if you don't have the Lumbridge Elite Diaries done, you're going to need to bring your Drayman staff as well. But I already have those done, so I'm able to just, go right in there and go right back to it. But you want to get your health, your spec, your prayer, everything back every kill. That way you've got 2 Dragon Warhammer specs every single kill. So you're almost always gonna hit with a Dragon Warhammer and get its defense down. And that means that you're gonna be hitting, non-stop on it, just tearing through it. So now we're gonna get into kind of the method of how to do it. So let me walk you guys through that. Okay, so on that last clip, I actually lied to you. I said we were gonna go on how to kill it, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to go into the inventory. Once you figure out the gear you want, then you want to sort out your inventory. What I do is I take some anglerfish. The reason I take the anglerfish is that at the start of the kill, I can angler up, put on my bludgeon. That way I can, let's assume I ate that, and then I can, equip it as soon as I do my specs. Because the Dragon Warhammer is not going to be my main weapon, it's just going to be my spec weapon for the start. Take those, and I can be max HP as well, which means maximum DPS against KQ. So I do that, and then I take 1 super combat, 1 range pot. I do take a sand food just in case I get poisoned. Also, it works as a super restore. If you don't care about the prayer, you could take a, anti-poison or a super anti-poison, either way. I take it just because sometimes you get brew drops and it helps out. At the end of a kill, you need to brew up or something. That's kind of what I take there. I take some sharks, take 1 Karumb one. You could take a couple more Karumb ones too if you want to have some combo food. That's sometimes what I take there, right there. And, once you got that sorted out, that's basically it for that. And let's move on. All right, so before we move on, I feel obligated to mention this just one more time before, I get to my numbers at the end. So I do have the Desert Elite Diary done. I do have the Lumbridge Elite Diary done. This means I don't need a Drayman staff. This means I have a shortcut. This means I've got, all those things. I've got max stats. I'm using Dragon Darts. I'm using, the recoil effect of the Suffering Ring. So all these things, if you don't have these really are going to make your numbers slower. So, if I'm getting 25 kills an hour, you might get 21. So just before we move on, just know that my numbers are correct, but maybe it might be lower for you if you don't have all the things I just mentioned. All right, so now we're getting into killing KQ, and in that regard, not too much has changed from the past. Although there are a couple of different things and little tips I can give you guys. So basically, to start your kill, you're obviously going to drink from your pool to get your stats back and your spec back. You're going to go to your fairy ring location. They added recently a feature to right click and go to your last location. So if BIQ or the Kalphite hive is your last place you went to, you can just right click last location. It'll instantly take you there. And it's all good. It's great like that. Once you actually get to the desert, you want to venge as soon as possible. The reason you do this is so that you can get 2 vengeances off on KQ right off the start. What I do is when I'm running past the guardians, I pray melee so they don't break the venge. Sometimes I mess up and they do hit me. But yeah, if you pray melee and run past them, they won't break your venge. That way your venges aren't wasted on the guardians and they get used on the Kalphite queen. To start off your kill, you basically just eat up your anglerfish and pot up if that applies, if you need to repot. To get your spec off, walk under the KQ, as it is a 6-tick spec for the Dragon Warhammer, and KQ attacks every 4 ticks, so you don't want to get hit twice and just be standing there, doing nothing. And then after that, you basically just get your second vengeance off as well if your venge breaks, and then you switch to your bludgeon, and that's it for the first form. You pray melee, you pray Mage and Piety as your quick prayers for the first form, and whenever you need to eat, you just walk under the KQ. It'll be as simple as that. And I've got a few different examples on screen right now as well. And now the second form, this is where there's been a pretty big change because of the house pool. So basically what you want to do is you want to not ever be full HP on the second form. I usually eat up to about 80 to start off my second form kill. And the reason you do this is so that you don't waste food. Because at the end of a kill on a second form, you're going to just go right back to your house anyways. So you're going to get your HP back. So as long as you don't risk it below 31 HP, you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about, eating up all your food to start off your next kill. This only applies if you go to your house every single kill. And obviously, if you don't have the diaries done, you probably don't want to do that. This probably only applies to people with the diary done, so they can have the shortcut and all the house stuff done. But that's basically what you do. And for the second form, your prayers are going to be range, steel skin, and eagle eye. The reason you do steel skin, even though the KQ has a 100% accuracy with mage and range attacks, it's not 100% accurate with melee. So steel skin, it seems to help me. I don't waste prayer with it. In this kill, I get smited actually. It was actually quite a slow kill. But most of the time I end up with, extra prayer left over. So for me, it's not, that bad to have to put steel skin on. If you are a little low on prayer, maybe don't steel skin. But yeah, just venge when you can during the kill, obviously. And apart from that, that's basically how you kill KQ. And what I've found is, doing this, I usually get about 3 to 5 kills a trip with this method. And by a trip, I mean every time I bank. Obviously, I'm leaving every single kill to go back to my house, but I still consider it to be one trip, between the time that I bank and the next time that I bank. So, it works out pretty well. It's about 25 kills an hour. And I usually don't start a kill unless I've got 6 food or more. If I have 5 food, I usually go back to the bank. So, that's kind of the number you want to kind of work with, is about 6 food per kill, to be safe with getting a next kill. If you've got the same stats and all the stuff done, obviously. But yeah, let's keep going. There's not too much left to say about the method of it. This is about 25 kills an hour, and it's very it's much better than before. I think previously when KQ when the pet first came out, before the diaries, before everything, I think it was about 14 to 16 personal kills an hour if you were to be a solo KQ killer, and that was with staying. That was with the Hosta, that was with, BGS, that was with all the, the Fury, all the old gear they used to use at KQ. And now with this new method, with going to your house every time, with, 2 Dragon Warhammer specs, all those things, it's, now 25 kills solo per hour with the shortcut and all that stuff. It's actually crazy how much KQ has been, buffed in regards to how, quickly you can kill it as a solo player. I remember in 2013 you would kill it with Verax. So I hope this guide has kind of, enlightened you guys on how KQ is these days, and I'll put the method in the description as well, in case you missed anything. In case you're wondering, maybe I'm doing something wrong, what am I missing? You can just read that, and hopefully it's helped you out. If it did, leave a like. I'm new to making guides. I may make more in the future. Expect a DK's guide soon. Unless you're watching this in like 2018 and the DK's guide already came out. But yeah, peace guys. Thank you guys for watching.